Hello, everyone, and welcome to the IEN 2025 season brought to you by LandFest. We've got 20 drivers across 9 different schools ready to burn some rubber. But before we get into that here, I've got to introduce the legend to my digital right, Logan Summit. How we feeling today, my friend?
We are absolutely amazing. You will notice I am a static photo today. A little bit of technical difficulties on my end, but that's nothing new to esports. We're going to get through it. I am super stoked to be here. Look, last year, iRacing with the Indiana Esports Network was absolutely amazing. The kid who won it last year, I believe he won it the past 2 years, is now in F4. He is IRL racing. So man, there's a way for these kids to take what they're doing in school virtually and bring it to the real world. And that is truly exciting for me. So I'm always happy to be here with you, Hot Sauce.
Yeah, we're just into race 5 of 12. We've got 2 that are tied for that first place with 211 points. But before we get into all that, we've got a couple other legends here with us today. We've got Drew, who is the iRacing League coordinator for IEN, is a middle school band director, and I believe a coach for middle school as well as Mr. B here, I believe a middle school band director as well, along with us for the ride today. So we'll welcome them in as well. Drew, Mr. B, how are we feeling today?
Oh, man, guys, I am so excited to talk about how awesome our kids here are in the state of Indiana, in the Esports Network, and here for some ice and iRacing. Let's go, fellas.
Well, you know, Drew has made our life exponentially easier every time we're here as well. Yes. It gives us a little bit of a cheat sheet to help. But, you know, we saw that Carmel, has been dominating here recently. They've got 2 players. You talked about it before we got going a little bit. We've got a young rookie here, Robert Fisk, who is currently, I think, in a slight lead against his junior, his maybe the person that's been helping him along the way. So a lot of interesting things that could happen here today in what is just race number 5 of 12.
And Robert Fisk, by the way, known as the king of the ovals. Now, Drew, this isn't exactly an oval, so how does Fisk look on this kind of track?
Well, I think, you know, that's going to be an interesting development here today. Is Robert Fisk might be the king of the ovals, but he's also a rookie, right, coming into this. This is the first time that we've seen iRacing at the same track 2 times in 1 year, and a track that we've done a bunch of racing at. This is our typical season finale race. So Robert Fisk, by all rights, should be somewhere in the middle of the pack. As I'm looking at the current timing sheets, Mr. King of the Ovals has found himself at the top of the timing sheet, outpacing his Carmel teammate by 0.07 of a second. Let's see if Zach can strike back.
And Hot Sauce, I want to talk about Laguna Seca for a hot second here. See what I did there? And this isn't exactly an oval, but it's not a real crazy track from what I'm looking at. We've got the Andretti hairpin, which is technically turn 2. That turn 1, where all the action happens in iRacing and in F1, isn't really that big of a turn. So I'm looking for the action to really start happening once they get around that turn 2.
I'm excited for the corkscrew in turn 8 as well. You know, sometimes we've seen a lot of these students are a little heavy on the gas pedal, but in recent times they do a great job. It seems like in the last cast we really saw of navigating those turns, being able to slow down properly, not getting off that track and kind of staying focused. So you're right. This track as a whole doesn't look like the most complex track, but I think that there are some real tricky intricacies of this track. And before we get into it as well, since Mr. B is kind of new amongst the senior, I know we've always had Drew helping us, but I'd love to pick the brain here and see how Mr. B got involved, or what kind of inspired you to get involved with this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mr. Rhoda and I go way back. I'm originally from Wisconsin and moved down to the Northwest Indiana area about 9 years ago. And Mr. Rhoda and I, and actually his wife as well, had an opportunity to teach together at the school that I'm currently at. Mr. Rhoda and I are both avid motorcyclists, and we've taken many great trips together. And we also go to Road America each year and share our same love and passion for racing, whether it be on motorcycles or cars. We've seen IMSA, we've seen IndyCar come through, lots of great things. And Mr. Rhoda and I were actually at the Indy road course watching some IndyCar going by, and he said, "Hey, I do this thing, I host this event. Would you be interested in checking it out?" And I said, "Absolutely, yes, I would love to. It's been a great time so far."
That's amazing. I mean, honestly, the students are really lucky to have Drew. I know he's lucky to have them as well, but it's been great to see these students get an opportunity to grow and further their career, in more than just traditional sports as well. And so it's certainly great to have another very talented and passionate member amongst the team. So glad to have you on board, Mr. B.
Oh, glad to be here. Thank you.
Mr. B is in the place to be. And Drew, it's so good to see you again. And Hot Sauce talking about this cheat sheet. Man, he puts it all together and lays it out for us. Now, obviously, the cars are going to be those Mazdas. I call them a Miata, but they like to be called the MX-5. It's a really fun car, and it's a great way for these students to get used to the racing and be able to start somewhere with a car that's kind of a mid-grade. It's not an F1 race, but you know what? This is the best way to start. You got to start somewhere, and these kids have really taken it to it. Carmel, by the way, just absolutely crushing it with the first spot, the second spot, and I believe the fourth spot in all of the standings going right now. Carmel, what do you think about them, Drew and Mr. B?
Like his colleagues, his Greyhound colleagues do.
Now, we saw a tie for first place with 211 points there. What determines Mr. Fisk being ahead of Zach? Yep.
Sorry.
Well, I know Carmel's been consistent in the previous seasons as well. And you talk about, you got an opportunity for points in that qualifying. First place gets 15 points just for the qualifying. Now, in the race, it's worth 50, but I saw they can get a total of 76 points per race. And you talk about it, right? Consistency is key. Consistency is king. And that's what we've seen from these first two racers. And I think the fact that they have such a big gap from that third place, I think really speaks volumes for how well they've consistently driven over these first 5 races. Going further into this track here as well, Drew, is there any more that you could tell us about this track? I know we talked about that second turn, that corkscrew turn. Is there any specific moment in the track that you're looking through that might cause some of these students some problems? Yeah.
Well, here's the thing that's interesting about the gravel being on the track, because look, as we all know in racing, gravel is terrible for cars, all right? It gets into everything and gets stuck on the tires. Well, there's no required pit stops. They do not have to change their tires. So if they're getting mucked up and getting those tire damage on that gravel, that's not going to go well for them heading into the end of these races.
Absolutely, and the iRacing sim very complex in how it structures the tire model, and so much so that's just much less grippy. I think it's one thing to visually see the gravel there, but in the background, the sim is doing all the math as Zach goes a little wide, heading up the hill to the corkscrew. It does all the math, and I think kids are really going to find a different track depending on who's dirtied it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we saw Zach going off right there at that corkscrew turn. That's the one I said I'll be keeping my eye on as well, because even though it doesn't look like it's too much to deal with, I mean, you really have to pump the brakes in this turn. You have a turn that follows it as well. And so I think it's going to be important for these racers to keep control throughout the entirety of this race here, especially if you are one of these top two racers, right? You have a nice big gap between yourself, that third and fourth position. So honestly, you don't need anything too crazy, too fast. You just have to finish consistently in those top three, top four positions, because, I mean, you're only 5 races through and you've already got a nice gap up there.
I think one of the things that makes this track so interesting and that will make it difficult for some of these drivers is the level changes. There's a lot of downhill. There's a little bit of uphill. It's not just going around at sea level, if you will.
I'll tell you what, Logan, not only is there a little bit of elevation change, there's a lot of elevation change. So you go from the top of the corkscrew in through that first complex of turns, you're going to lose 80 feet, right? Wow. 80 feet. We're talking almost 8 stories.
That's wild.
With a total drop of 109 feet after you finish all of that. 10 stories of vertical drop in not that far at a car that might just be doing over 100 miles an hour. Yo.
That is crazy, especially for some of these kids that don't even have a driver's license yet.
Well, and Drew, you said that this is one of 2 courses that students get to vote on each season, one in the fall season, one in the spring season. So this is maybe a favorite of the students, it would appear as well.
Absolutely. Here at the IHSEN, we offer 6 races, part of our normal regular season. There's 12 weeks of competition. In both the fall semester and spring semester, students get to vote. So we have students that recommend a car and a track combo, anything that's on the iRacing base package. Nothing fancy, nothing that we have to pay extra for. But anything that's on there is up for grabs as the sim cycles us out at the end of practice. We're going to start quali here shortly, a 10-minute qualifying session. And so the kids have all of those open to them. Normally, in the years past, we've had students prefer to do ovals. And I will be honest with you, I have not always agreed with their oval choices, but whatever. Kids, it's up to you guys. It's your race. With that being said, this was a bit of a surprise that we were going to come back. I, as the race coordinator, am fascinated to see how this is going to go as we ride on board here with Gary from Union City High School.
All right, so qualifiers, like you said, this is an open qual, so they can pick and choose their battles here. They don't necessarily need to take the entire 10 minutes, right? But that would obviously be beneficial. The more that you get time on the track, the more heat you get to the tires, the more downforce you're going to get on the car. Who are you looking to really show up here in qualifiers?
I tell you what, if I was a betting man, which I am not, but if I was a betting man, I would have put money on Zach from Carmel. He was funny after it all finished up last week. You could tell he was a little hungry. He's getting a little nervous because his young colleague is so close to him. However, from the practice results, and I can go ahead and grab that screen from our friends at Veneer.in, the TV overlay from iRacing. Go ahead and show this off. Look at that. Wow. 200ths of a second back. Robert, rookie to the league, the king of the ovals. I just find him at the top step of the
Well, what's crazy about this is they kind of have a little bit of a McLaren thing going on here. A little battle. You've got young versus old in there. You've got a battle to see who's going to be the #1 driver. I like to see it, and everybody likes to drive competition because, racing is all about being first, right? Because if you're not first, you're last.
Well, that's right. We'll see if we have some papaya rules out there today, but the Carmel drivers are getting ready to go. We'll see.
Honestly, I love it. I mean, it kind of just reiterates all the wonderful young talent that we have across esports, including here at Indiana Esports. I mean, to come in and be and race competitively, consistently, find yourself in the top through 5 races as a young freshman, I think speaks volumes for the young talent that we have and for some of the older talent that might be leading that way and helping. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have some traded paint here early in the qualifiers.
The purple schools.
Barbecue out there. I think they're just discussing if it's going to be hot dogs or hamburgers right now as they get on the beach and they get out the blankets and sit down for a second. But they'll get back there and qualify.
Now, Drew, we were talking a little bit before we were going as well, and maybe, for some of the people that are watching or new and don't know, that some of these students, a lot of the paint jobs, deliveries are custom, but some of these students have designed their own paints for the cars as well.
It's one of my favorite things here about the Indiana Esports Network, and if anybody's watching that watches the YouTube channel, they're going to go, oh, here he goes, career competencies in a novel way. But it's part of the IEN mission statement that we are providing opportunities for students, both in esports, but also maybe this is something you can do for the rest of your life. I think the opportunities to go pro in iRacing, pretty few and far between. I tell you what, we need people to do jobs like graphic design. We need people to do jobs like marketing and production and working with technology. And that's something that this esports activity, in addition to providing something fun and interesting for the kids to do, it also provides them career competencies in a novel way. Absolutely. We've a couple of coaches out there that got really into designing liveries, but a couple kids also design their own liveries, as we see one of our favorite drivers here on the stream, Pablo from Lawrenceburg. Guys, look at this with the cat eyes chasing you down. Come on now.
You gotta love that. Recently I was afforded the opportunity to speak guest lecture over at UNLV, and one of the things I told the students is that you need to take the opportunities afforded to you while you have them. You got to get out there and make it in the world today, so to speak. But you need to be able to understand that sports and esports are synonymous with each other these days, and we need people in front of the camera, but more so we need people behind the camera doing all of the stuff that the faces don't do. There's so much work to be done behind the scenes that there are careers, multiple different types of careers in esports and sports that you can start developing scholastically.
Well, shoot, guys, I want to take a second to say a huge shout out to all the guys from LandFast. I know we're going to do that later, but man, you talk about people behind the scenes working tirelessly. Even 15 seconds before we went up, we were still working and going. Those guys working so hard. I just want to say huge thanks to our crew, helping make us look and sound great, and ultimately helping make our kids in the Indiana Esports Network look and sound great, because that's why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I love this car here that Pablo's in. I've loved watching Pablo over the last couple seasons. I know we had really grown to like him in that first season about 3 seasons ago, when you told us that he was a player that sometimes students have to share some of these rides. They maybe only get a race every other race, but perform particularly well in the one that we got to see. So Pablo, certainly a name I remember. And while we're in qualifiers here, speaking of people behind the scenes, we do need to take a moment to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, in that of Zotac. So giving a huge shout out to Zotac Gaming here for supporting scholastic esports in Indiana. You guys out there can show your appreciation for Zotac Gaming as well by giving them a shout out on social media. Make sure you join their Discord, and don't forget to use the hashtag #PoweredByZotac or hashtag ZotacUSA when you post. Maybe make a post, let us know who you think's going to win today's race.
I'd love to see people at home. If you're watching on Twitch, you know what you can do? If you see a great clip of one of your favorite drivers, clip it and send it off. Send it off to LandFest. They'd love to see it. I'm sure they can use it on the social media, and I'm sure they would tag you as well. So get involved and support your favorite drivers.
Yeah, I see some in chat already. There was a Lisa Carpenter out there, I think, on the YouTube side saying, let's get it number 12, which I believe is that young star Robert Fisk, currently sitting in second for the qualifiers, battling out with his counterpart there, his advisor, maybe the junior of Zach there. But, you talked about it, Drew, going in the practice there. We saw that Robert was, I think, just 0.2 of a second in front of them. Now we see Zach with a slight lead. So I think we're in for a really interesting race. Pablo's doing very well here in the qualifiers as well.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a great race. And I think, the kids out here, it's interesting. Kids are kind of nonchalant. You talk to them, hey, are you into this? And the answer from our kids here in the Indiana Esports Network is absolutely they are. They are all in all the time. All out to make a great show, but also they want to make a great showing of what they're doing. And I couldn't be more proud as we watch Robert Fisk come down from the corkscrew.
All right, I got a question for Mr. B. Mr. B, give me a sleeper pick. Who have we not talked about yet that could really make a difference in the race today?
That would be the number 33 machine of Jamison Daniel from Harrison. Been pretty consistent the last few weeks here and slowly moving their way up in the points as well. I think we got to keep a close eye on Jamison there. Currently in 5th place in our qualifying with about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Well, Drew, for me, I want to know, for as far as Zach and Robert go, say, maybe they don't get the best start here. How willing should they be to try and fight for that front of that pack, or do they need to be a little bit more cautious to avoid maybe some collisions? Because you're sitting out far in front of the pack, but should you maybe suffer a devastating crash and find yourself very far back in the pack, it would leave a lot of room for maybe some of these other players to gain some of that ground. Is there something that you're expecting from these two drivers to get out early, or if they don't get out early, would you be surprised if they just kind of hang out where they're at?
Hot Sauce, I'm going to be honest with you. You said the word, what should they do? Should being your key modifier. And I think what should they do and what will they do are oftentimes two different things. We're talking about race car drivers. All right,
yes.
It's a race car, but these guys want to finish first. Logan said it a little bit ago, you ain't first, you're last, right? And we tell the kids like, guys, that is absolutely not true. In the heat of battle, right? And you see red. You just... It'll be interesting to see. I will say that Zach has done a nice job. He had an absolute horrendous race on our first oval that saw him, I think, finish 6th or 7th and serve multiple penalties. And I don't remember the last time I saw Zach serve penalties, but he just got churned through a couple times, got caught up in some midfield drivers, and it was pretty much a day to forget. With that being said, he still finished. He didn't rage quit, finished the day, finished strong, and look where he's at. He's still tied for that first place spot. I think that goes to show maturity. I don't know what Robert has yet. I haven't seen him race enough, and I don't know if I've seen him.
Drew, please.
He just went completely last week on his own race. Everyone else behind him kind of fell off. And so because of that, we see it'll be interesting to see what Robert does. What should they do? They should play it easy because it's a long season. What will they do? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Well, they'll put I'll tell you what they're going to do. They're going to put the iRacing pedal to the metal as we see a little bumping and grinding. Rubbin is racing back there in the background. We saw a couple kids go off onto the beach.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I'm not sure exactly what car. It might have been Zach, as I see he's kind of posted up in the pit. This is that corkscrew right here. We do see a lot of cars getting a little bit squirrely around this part. And so, again, I think this is going to be another interesting spot to watch here. I think this is one of the spots that have given the students maybe some of the most trouble that we've seen so far in the qualifier. But, yeah, I think you made a valid point, because as mature as you want to be and maybe make that smart race, I think sometimes it's tough, because it's just, it's fun to get out there and win. You want to have that drive to be in that first place position.
Well, and to piggyback off of that, Mr. Rhoda and I often talk about the experience that these students get and how the lessons that they learn in the virtual world in iRacing can directly apply to your everyday life. Knowing that you're not always going to come in first place, but that doesn't mean you should stop trying. It doesn't mean you should give up and throw in the towel. Get back out there, continue to try your best each and every day, or in this instance, each and every lap. It's all about consistency in the long run. I think by the end of the season, we're going to see some people in the top 5 of the points charts with possibly not even having won a race throughout the season. If they get a few podium finishes and they're consistent throughout the season, their points will reflect that. And what a great comparison, what a great parallel for everyday life.
Yeah, it's not always about those big wins. Absolutely.
You gotta get up and do it, whether you like it or not. It's up to you to make your way, and no one's going to come into your living room and offer you a racing contract. You got to go out there and earn it.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. I mean, it just kind of what Drew had said moments ago, where, Zach had those issues in the first race, but he still finds himself in first. And so, it's about those small wins that add up to those big wins over time. And I think we've seen that here. But now that the qualifying is done, I think I saw Robert maybe in the lead on that one barely as well here, as it looks like it is coming in. So 137, only 0.24 tenths behind him there in second. Was that Pablo?
Yeah, so it looks like our qualifying order: Robert, Zach, Drew from Pike in third, Jameson Daniel, that's Mr. B's sleeper pick, coming up to fourth, Axel Saldana 5, Pablo Nunez 6, Matthew Basinger 7, Frank Wade, Ben Davis Frank in 8th, Alistair from Carmel is a rookie from the Greyhounds in 9, Kendrick in 10, 11, Gerardo Galindo 12, Leland Kellums from Lawrenceburg, that's a lot of L's, Lazarus Blanton from Pike in 13, and Alex from Hobart in 14. The other two, it looks like Ben Davis, Zach, and UGC Gary haven't set a time, so we'll see what happens on that one when we get going. It looks like the sim is now bouncing us automatically to our race grid.
All right, so we're going to be setting up the grid and getting ready to race, putting that iRacing pedal to the metal and getting down once again with some Indiana Esports Network iRacing. It is exciting. It's going to be a fast day. Remember, the weather is not a factor here. It's always going to be a gorgeous day on this racetrack as we step into Laguna Seca.
Yeah, I love the great weather here as well. Interesting fact as well, just courtesy of the information that we got from Drew, but this course was, or this track was originally built by the Army Corps of Engineers. So of what was on an old fort at the time. So I always think some of that history is always kind of fun to learn because it was something I didn't know as well.
Yeah, I love it when Drew gives us these things because we always learn things that even in our research, we would never in a million years come up with that information. It's out there, by the way. Laguna Seca is located in Monterey, California, which is in upstate California, if you will.
All right, well, Robert has a chance to get out here early, separate himself from the pack. The young rookie, the young rising star here as well. Zach, hot on the heels, though. Again, it's going to be interesting. Andrew Shield at Pike in third, who is very close, but we talked about it. It's almost an 80-point gap there, so needing to make up some of that room, but really going to have to fight for it early, it would appear.
They're going to have their opportunity today. Like you said, almost an 80-point gap. I believe it's sitting at 76 points right now. But we are going to get down to the raceway. This will be for 20 minutes for all the marbles that the kids don't play with anymore. Somebody today will be victorious, and others will be using their tears to salt their fiery Cheetos while asking their coaches, where did it all go wrong? Here we go. It's time to race.
Absolutely, right into it we go. We see Robert getting out in front of the pack with Zach right behind him there, trying to go a little bit wide on this first hairpin turn, and it's a sharp one. Try not to trade paint. We see Andrew on the underside as well, and Zach gets a little bit wide. Andrew with an early pass here. Zach able to regain it, though, and we see Robert a nice big length in these first couple turns.
Dude, are you serious?
And we can hear the drivers. There was a big collision in the back of the pack. We did not get to see it on screen too well, but you can hear the drivers commenting, are you serious?
I love the fact that we get to hear the drivers as well. I think that's a nice addition, and you can hear some of that as we get going. But do they have anybody coaching them as well in their headset? Is it only drivers that we hear out here, Drew?
You know what? They might have somebody coaching them in their headsets. iRacing gives you the ability to have a spotter or someone with you. I will tell you, when I was coaching at Portage High School before my current job, I tried to do that, and it is hard to race these cars. It is much harder for a kid to listen and process what somebody is saying in their ear. So I actually stopped doing that because every time I talked to him, the kid would crash.
Yeah,
So,
F1 racers, Drew, they say you got to use 100% of your brain at all times. So sometimes the chatter on the box gets to be too much, and you'll even hear the F1 racers say, no, leave me to it. I'm good.
Well, hey, take a look at this. We've got 12, Robert Fisk trying to break the draft with Zach in the background, furiously trying to get around his teammate. Going to go wide here on the left-hander. I don't know if he's got the speed to get it done, but he's going to go door to door.
Oh!
He's on the wrong side of that turn. Nothing going. This one, as Drew says, thank you very much.
And a little bit of rubbing is racing right there as the 1 and 2 trying to get away from that dirty air, Zach is. But we've got Andrew right on top. We've got 1, 2, 3. Everybody's so close right now.
I mean, it has to feel good for Robert. You get that qualifying spot. Now you get to really race your race. It's up to Zach to make this pass happen. And we've seen Zach, it's certainly not for a lack of trying, already in these opening minutes, trying to find it wide, trying to find it underneath. But Robert right now racing that smart race. Andrew's done a great job of staying close as well. I mean, if Zach and Robert can get into a little tussle themselves, it might open up something for Andrew just to sneak on by.
Well, I tell you what, I really like the mental head games that are going on here with Zach, the seasoned veteran. He knows that Robert hasn't had to deal with a lot of pressure, especially last race. He coasted to a victory with an incident happening early in last week's race that caused most of those other guys to drop out. And so I think Zach says, listen, fellas, it's going to be a long race. You're going to look at me for the next 17 minutes. And he's going to take his time and wait. We'll see.
I think something else to keep an eye on here too is, every time we go around the track, we get that beautiful shot of the corkscrew over in turn 8. There's going to be more and more gravel starting to make its way onto this track. And as Drew said before, that gravel doesn't go away. It is not superficial. It is not decorative. It does impact the performance of these cars. I think we're going to see throughout the course of this race, some of these racing lines start to change a little bit. Some of these braking points start to be a little sooner than they were previously. As we get Zach taking the inside for that pass, can he hold on to it is the question.
And it looks like he's going to. Oh, man, what a great way to make it happen. And we've just traded paint. Not really, but they're just trading places right now.
Yeah, it's close. We'll see if Zach can make this stick. He's having trouble making it stick.
Using that slipstream, trying to get out of that dirty air.
Well, I tell you, I think Zach has more pace. And so I think Robert is doing, and as he gets around him, Robert is doing an excellent job defending. And there's a little bit of a cork in a bottle scenario as we see Drew slip through too. All right, fellas, wide open track. Zach, how far are you going to go? As Robert drives through that dirty part of the track.
Again, almost 5 minutes through this one, racing for 20 full minutes, and after that, the position will be finalized here. But Zach has found his way into the lead and maybe starting to lengthen that gap a little bit. Robert still driving great, though, hanging on. We see Andrew not far behind him, and that's where we see that real separation start to begin. Pablo a little more than, or almost 4.5 seconds behind. I think Jamison about 3 behind Pablo there as well. And so there is starting to get a bigger gap from these top 3, but these top 3 are hanging on very, very closely here.
Well, I think Robert was the proverbial cork in a bottle there, and I think Drew might have a little bit more pace than Robert does. It's one thing to drive fast for 1 lap. It is another thing to drive fast for 20 minutes of laps, and I think that's starting to show here a little bit as Zach has pulled a considerable gap in about a lap of 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, we might see a new lap leader here as far as time is concerned. Robert right now, Mr. Fisk there, king of the ovals. He's got the best lap. But Zach is pushing right now. If I was a coach at his ear, I'd be saying, push it, push it, push it. And he's doing just that.
Well, I tell you what, guys, I'm looking at my timing sheets here. Robert Fisk has the fastest lap time, 1:38.126. 1:39.186 is from Carmel Zach. So if he's going to make a fastest lap, he's got to get on it.
Well, it appears that he certainly is, as you had mentioned, definitely lengthen that gap. You can see we're on board with Zach here as well, and just navigating through these turns nicely here, coming through this stretch and continues to lengthen that gap. Now, Robert's been able to keep Andrew behind him up to this point, but you wonder, like you said, how long can he consistently drive through this corkscrew? This is that tougher part of the racetrack, but again, these top 3 haven't had very many issues thus far getting through this portion of the track.
And you know what, guys? I think that's a mark of experience. I think that as these drivers continue to race in the league, both Zach and Drew from Pike came in at the same time into the league. There are 3-year members. And so for these guys, they have that race experience of following somebody for a long time. It's mentally tiring to do that. And I don't know, Robert, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. It's yet to be seen. And I tell you what, we're looking forward to what I think is going to be a great race finish as Robert continues to turn another fast lap.
Yeah, Drew,
Pablo
that's
coming out of
true.
the pits right now, by the way, Mr. B.
What's that?
Pablo coming out of the pits.
All right. Back on the track. Let's get going. And just to piggyback off of what Drew was saying about this mental fortitude here, for Pike Drew, I think his race has changed a little bit. At first, Robert and Zach were going at each other, and I think in that situation, you let that play out for first and second. You see what they're doing. You saw him a couple times keep his nose tucked right in there with Zach and Robert and kind of getting up there to second, falling back to third. But now that this gap has opened up from Zach, Drew's mentality has to change a little bit. He now needs to actively work towards getting past Robert into that second place so he can start pecking away at Zach out in first.
Look at that paint job. That's a nice one. I like that purple and white.
That's Ben Davis. All 3 Ben Davis cars have unique purple, black, and white paint jobs. So there is one that's BD Frank. There's Ben Davis Axel right in front of him. And then where's my last Ben Davis driver? Oh, other Ben Davis driver's out.
Maybe results of that opening moment that we heard some of those drivers questioning what was going on there when things get a little reckless. And sometimes it can be tough off the start there. I mean, everybody's trying to fight for those early positionings. You end up trading a little paint, and things do happen in those opening moments. So unfortunately, maybe a couple have found their way out early, but you see Leland back there for that Lawrenceburg car. I know you said a couple of the Lawrenceburg ones, I believe, were custom paint jobs as well.
We got some drifting going on.
Oh, what a job holding on to that car. Holy cow.
We see a pass here.
Tires survived that that experience or not, but wow, what a great job keeping that on the track.
All right,
Not
who are we
too
looking
much
at
has
here?
changed here, Hot Sauce, but Pablo, one of your favorites there, he's moved into 4th place. He's keeping pace. He's doing his thing, but he is a little bit behind the pack.
Yeah, 4th and 5th are very close. So we'll see Pablo and that sleeper pick of Jamison going to be duking it out for that positioning there. But the top 3 do have a pretty nice gap. Now, Robert was a little more than a second behind there. We've seen him begin to close that gap as well, down to about a half a second. We saw another fast lap from Robert on that previous lap, as we are back here on board with Pablo, looking to gain some of that ground, a little more than 10 seconds to work with. And as time goes on, we're seeing maybe starting to catch up with some of these cars that are near the back of the pack as well. And that's something that can be tough to navigate through as well. You want to make sure that you don't get caught up, on one of these cars in that corkscrew. So you kind of have to be aware of the surroundings here throughout the entirety of this race.
So Drew and Mr. B over there, we are halfway through the race. What are we going to start to see from these cars and these racers? Are we going to see that wear and tear? We saw Pablo have to hit the pits earlier, and we're seeing a lot of gravel on this track. We've talked about it. This is going to be where it starts to come into play.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the great things about iRacing in comparison to some of these other sims is the accuracy at which parts start to wear down. Your brakes start to go, your steering becomes a little bit less responsive. You used to be able to throw that car through the corkscrew, no problem. You had traction, you had grip, car would grab and just take you around, and now you start to have to fight and counter steer a little bit more. Last week we were circle track racing, and I loved those onboard shots because you saw circle track racing is not just turning left. And as the race kind of progressed through, these students started to counter steer and had to start fighting these cars a little bit more. That's exactly what's starting to happen now. And as these cars start to get a little bit closer, as these gaps shrink a little bit, you get a little bit nervous, you get that excitement of, ooh, somebody's in my rearview mirror. You got to make sure you stay on your race line. You got to make sure you stay smooth, because smooth is fast.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what happened at the front of the pack here, but Robert Fisk was about 0.2 behind, and all of a sudden an explosive move gained about 0.3 of a second onto Zach as these two continue to fight for this first place position, and things are really beginning to heat up now that we're through this halfway point.
Yeah, and I can tell you Zach does not look happy about the fact that these positions switched here. It looks like he is getting ready to do everything in his power. Top side of the track, bottom side of the track, looking for any tenths of a second to gain here, as he, I believe, for the moment, is back in first place here on his teammate Robert Fisk.
Little shake and bake coming from the Carmel guys here. They're definitely fighting for it, and I love to see it. The competitive nature of racing is just absolutely amazing.
One of my favorite things is that, oftentimes these students will be sitting right next to each other at their school in the racing setup. So sometimes you see incidents happen on the track, and that they're reaching over, talking to their buddy. Hey, man, what was that? Hey, nice move. Hey, I appreciate the way you did that. Or, hey, I did not appreciate the way you did that.
As long as we keep it positive and keep it friendly.
That's right.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. You can have my position or yours.
We can hear him talking out there.
Just talking about switching positions over there.
Yeah, I think it looks like there was a little bit of an incident that happened, and Jameson Daniel from Harrison High School here in West Lafayette was saying, "Hey, I give that one back. You got that one. I got to hand it to the kids. I think that they're kids these days. We hear a lot about how terrible kids these days are, and I think there's a lot of great stuff going on here, and the fact that we've got a bunch of teenagers that are being competitive, but also kind of saying a little self-policing there. It's pretty great to see."
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
think
is
that-
great. Just the way that they're able to work together and not have to have the judges come in and say, hey, you got to give that position back. The fact that they're willing to do it on their own says a lot about the maturity of these racers.
Absolutely.
That's why I love the esports. I mean, you might see the bad stuff on the news, but I feel like every time we come here, I mean, that's all we hear from these students is it's so mature at such a young age, and it gives us a little more hope. It's refreshing to see because I think every time we revisit these races, we hear stuff like this, and it's great to know that these students are headed in the right direction, all while getting to do something that they truly enjoy.
At the end of the day, this is fun. This is fun. I mean, getting in a race car and running around a track with your friends and against other schools. I mean, I would love to be doing this in high school. I wish that I had these kinds of opportunities.
Oh, yeah. So at the end of each race, Drew and I do a post-race interview. And Drew asks him, says, walk me through your race. Tell me what happened. You would not believe the number of times students have come to that and talked about previous seasons, or students have even come back and joined our chat and hung out for a little bit talking about, oh, do you remember that race where I was in third place and then because of this I got to second? And they relive those moments. Super, super exciting. You are 100% on the ball with that. They are creating memories that they are going to remember. And what a great opportunity for these students to learn, to grow, and make great memories with some friends along the way.
I think another one of my favorite things is I always get excited especially when I do the LAN events and stuff, but seeing the parents and the friends show up and cheer for the kids or, the friends, the students, whatever it might be. And we've already seen so many people typing in chat here, cheering for their drivers or, whether it's friends or their kids. And I really love seeing that as well. I think it's a very important part of everything that goes on. I always say sometimes the most important thing is just showing up and being there. And the fact that we get to see that, live here as well, it brings a smile to my heart for sure.
Yeah, one of the most gratifying things that happens when we get to be in person at an actual event is when these kids and these parents come up to you and they say, hey, what a great job, thank you, blah, blah, blah. It means so much that these kids and these parents are getting involved. And I always say this, look, with the way that esports is heading, getting to know esports with your kids is going to be the next phase of going out back and playing catch. Parents need to not be so scared about esports. You don't need to know the in and outs of the games. You just need to be able to interact with your kids on a level. And who knows, maybe you'll fall in love with the game. I mean, I started gaming because of my dad. He brought home an Atari 2600 because I'm old. But, it's your families that push you and give you support. And I really think moving forward, you're going to see a lot more parents get involved in esports.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I think in the past, video games have gotten this negative stigma with them, this negative stereotype that you isolate yourself in your room, you close and lock the doors and turn the lights off, and you just sit there like a little gremlin playing your game. But, majority of the times that I even turn on my computer to play games, it's a social event. I have friends all over the United States that I went to school with, and I don't get a chance to see them in person, but, having the opportunity to hang out with your friends just by a click of a button and play games together that you enjoy completely has changed video games for me. And it's a really great thing moving forward in the future with all these advances in technology that we have. I expect, and like you've said, I'd like to echo it, I think esports is going to continue to grow. And at some point, and in some regards, there's going to be aspects of it that surpass traditional sports and traditional events.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're saying that esports will be a $30 billion with a B dollar industry in 2030. So just think about that. We're a few years away from the esports industry being worth $30 billion.
That's incredible.
I've already. Yep. Go ahead.
I tell you what, guys, getting down to the end of this race with 2:30 left, we're talking about the future of esports, but I think the future of iRacing might be here with Zach and Robert doing a great job. I'll tell you what, Robert keeps getting up there, but it's one thing to catch. It is just another thing to pass. We do have to say goodbye to Mr. B, who is heading out, so that way we can make room on the call here for our race winner. I do want to say a huge thanks to Mr. B for being in. And if you like Mr. B, you can come watch us on our YouTube stream for all of these races. They happen on Thursdays, and you can watch them on demand anytime you like.
I appreciate
Love it,
that.
yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Congratulations to all of our racers. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.
Mr. B, not in the place to be anymore, but moving on out to make room for the winner here so that we can interview him. It was great to have Mr. B aboard, just like Drew, dropping some great knowledge. You know, mic drop on your way out, brother. You did a great job. Thanks for being part of it.
All right, as Mr. B goes, middle school band director, I believe, for Portage, Indiana as well, and a big help on the YouTube stream. So a big shout out again to Mr. B. Thank you for all of your help as we got just a minute and 10 left in this one. We saw Robert regain that lead only for a moment, and the moment was gone. It's been all Zach again since then. Now Robert getting dangerously close here as well, but I think after we get through some of these turns, we see Zach kind of exploding out of these turns. Seems to be just that slightly faster racer here today so far.
Well, this is probably going to be the last lap. I think it takes more than 50 seconds to get around. So we'll see if they can finish. And I think Zach is thinking to himself, man, I just want to finish this race.
Yeah.
But he might have to go around a whole nother time and battle Robert through this whole thing. I bet he is. Yeah, I think we're just going to have time for one more lap. We'll see. The 27 seconds left to go here in the Indiana Esports Network.
Well, it's definitely getting exciting as we're getting down to the nitty-grit. 20 seconds left. As Drew just said, we're going to get to see another lap, and let's see if Robert, Mr. King of the Ovals, can get it done and pass Zach. I don't know if that's going to be the case today.
With 10 seconds left, they have an entire other lap, and I bet Zach is thinking to himself, oh, come on, I could have been 10 seconds slower.
Could I not just pump the brakes just a little bit? But, you know, with Robert right on your heels, you don't want to risk it. And honestly, I love and hate being on board because they make it look so smooth that I love it, but they make it look so easy. And I can assure you, it is not that easy to do what these young students do. And just a ton of talent littered across all 9 of these schools with the 20 drivers involved here today.
As we ride on board here with Robert Fisk from the cockpit, you can see him sawing at that wheel. You can hear the tires starting to go. He's got much better, but Zach defends on the left and the right. Can't defend both sides. But it's a left-hander coming up, fellas.
Oh, we're going to get it.
Oh, Robert really trying there. Now he's at risk. Luckily, they had such a nice lead in front of Andrew that it doesn't look it's going to affect him too much. So I like the fact that we really see Robert going for it there. He knows it's the last lap. He's giving it his all. It almost comes back to haunt him a little bit, but he's able to hang on long enough. But Andrew now at the heels of Robert.
Looks like Zach is going to be able to take this one home right now. Robert not going to be able to catch up, but Andrew still looking over there. Got a little squirrely. We saw him hit a little bit of that beach.
As we see the checkered flag come out, race winner is Zach. It's going to be a drag race, though. In 2-3, does Drew have the speed to get around him? There's your 2-3 right there.
And that's how you get it done. Zach, number 1, Robert, number 2, and Andrew coming in 3rd place. And your friend, Pablo, picking up 4th place there, able to keep with it. I mean, they pitted. I don't even know what happened, but they were able to keep up in 4th place. So there you go, Pablo. Way to get it done.
Yeah, weaving in and out there a little bit for fun. Now, Jameson, I think, has just recently been passed there as well by that number 18 car. So it's a little, I think it's Axel there. So Jameson still in the top 10, though. We see, was it McCory?
So that's Carmel Allister. And James, that looks like Jameson took a little bit of a trip off track. I don't know if he was assisted in that or if it was a self-made thing. I'll have to I'll have to bring up the replay later.
Yeah,
as we see,
the
Pike
NFL.
Gerardo.
There's no tush pushing here. You gotta keep it clean. Gotta keep it clean.
Well, I tell you what, unfortunately, we've had a couple of those, and I don't love it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's tough when you're taken out early. You know, we talk about some of those bonus points you can get. You know, the fastest lap will get you 5 points, which, you know, earlier we said was Robert. I'm not sure if Zach was able to steal that away from him at any point. Leading for at least a full lap would get you a point and then most laps led, that 5 additional points there as well. So all of these points certainly matter in here, especially when you talk about how close Zach and Robert were heading into this race today.
Absolutely. It looks like Robert still picks up the fastest lap. Zach never did pull a fastest lap. My timing screens, it was close, but I tell you what, Zach was still 0.8 seconds slower than the fastest lap from his Carmel teammate.
Well, I mean, it goes back to that consistency factor, right? It's not always about winning, winning that race or having the fastest lap. As long as you're consistently putting them together, you can still find yourself in first place. And for Zach, that was the case today. And I'm assuming that Zach also led the most laps. I felt like even though we saw Robert in the lead for the first few minutes, it felt like Zach really did control the pacing of the majority of this racetrack here today.
I would definitely agree with you there. But Robert being able to hold down that fastest lap, that's going to obviously help the point total, like we said before. But you know what? Carmel, they're going to be interesting to watch all season long. If Zach and Robert are going to play this out the way that it's already started 5 races in, I mean, man, this season is going to be exciting for Carmel.
Yeah, a lot of opportunities ahead. Honestly, there's a ton of opportunities for many out there. I mean, if you're interested in esports in college, you can search hundreds of collegiate esports programs. Where? At portal.legos.gg. That's right. Scholarships exist for players, shoutcasters like Logan and I, and much, much more. So be sure to list all your talents. Verified college coaches are searching the LS portal now to find you. IN students themselves can sign in and manage their prospect profiles where their stats automatically update. So don't forget, LOS portal is free. Don't miss your chance to get discovered. Please visit portal.legos.gg and level up your future as well.
GG's! And GG's to all these students out here racing today and all the schools involved. You just love to see how these programs are growing. And Drew, that's got to be something that you must look at the end of every season going into the next season and go, wow, look at what we're doing. Look at what these kids have done. Look at what these schools are doing. And look at how much support we're getting. How do you feel about how iRacing has been growing and in the Indiana Esports Network?
Or something for Fortnite and for iRacing. We're excited when we have 10,000 people racing at one time. With that being said, it's also expensive. It's the most expensive of all titles we run, and you have to have peripherals. So the fact that we're able to put out a league here at 20 kids that are passionate about racing, and I told the kids this at the start of the season, and I believe really strongly in this. I think racing is cool. I'm also kind of a weirdo in that, right? Like when kids are like that, they think, I don't know, man. Racing's kind of weird. And so these kids have an opportunity to share passions that they have both for gaming, but also for motorsport, but also for competition here. And that's something that the Indiana Esports Network can provide for kids. We're all teachers. We're all volunteers as part of the IEN. And to do something like this, you said it earlier, Logan. You said, man, if this was around when I was a kid, that's why I do this. And, frankly, these kids, kind of the same thing. Just what an opportunity that they have.
Honestly, I'm thrilled. I flash back to a few seasons ago when I cast a ton of different esports, but it was a first for me. And now every season I'm like, man, I wish we got to do more than one race because it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And so it's really grown on me as a whole. I know I got to cast even some Tetris for IEN recently, and I didn't realize how insanely fast and fun that was. And so. Even I've gotten to come in and learn a lot, but I truly think it's great what you guys do for all of these students, all the opportunities that they get now and to further themselves. Like you mentioned, there's more than just the racing or the playing as well. From the graphic design, there's so many things that go on in the background that can literally further their steps in their career in many different directions. So again, I thank you, Drew, and the rest of Indiana Esports Network for having me on board because it's so much fun each and every time.
Yeah, this is absolutely one of the most fun things that I do every year for Indiana Esports Network. I've actually casted twice Minecraft Bed Wars. Didn't even know that was a thing until I got involved with the IEN, and look where we are now. But iRacing, look, I am such a huge F1 fan that being able to come out here and do this, especially with Hot Sauce and you, Drew, is absolutely one of my favorite things, and I look forward to it each and every single season.
Absolutely. You know, what a fun, that's one of my things I think with esports. I think there's any number of people that think esports is cool, but I think there's also there's a population that, look at it and they say, oh, but I can get behind racing, right? And I think the general population looks at that and goes, oh, shoot, I get that. You know, my own dad watched one of these streams one time. He says, I know in my head that it's not real, but it feels like it's real. Like I feel like I'm really watching this, and what a great opportunity that we have to put on events like this. Should be great.
All right, we check out these championship standings. Zach has now taken a lead. It's not a definitive lead, but it's 5 points. He's at 277, and the younger version, Robert Fisk, right behind him at 272. And then Andrew, down the pike, so to speak, at 183 in third place, and that's where everybody's sitting. And Mr. B's sleeper pick there, Jamison Daniel, holding strong in fourth place. And our Guns N' Roses fan, Axel, over there in fifth.
That's right. Hey, here another look through the league as we did Alistair from Carmel in 6, Pablo 7, Matthew Basinger in 8 after 5 races, BD Frank in 9, Alex Kaiser, the Brickies from Hobart in 10. 11, I can press the right button on my overlay, Kendrick from Union City Kendrick. 12 is Zach from Ben Davis. 13 wasn't in race today, so we won't show his scores. 14, Leland Kellums from Lawrenceburg. 15, Gary from Union City. Gerardo in 16 from Pike. And Lazarus in 17 from Pike High School.
I definitely saw some Leland fans out there in chat as well. So good to see them there getting 75 points on the board. As we remember, it was 211 apiece for our top 2 competitors. After today, Zach will enjoy a 5-point lead, but honestly, that's not something to get too overzealous a bit, depending on how many oval tracks we have coming up in the near future. I know Robert may be looking for an opportunity to steal that lead back.
Absolutely. As I'm doing some work here, trying to get our race winner in the stream. This technology is amazing.
It's just amazing what you can do these days. I mean, I remember when Modern Warfare 2 came out and you could play with your friends in a true multiplayer way for the first time, but getting connected was always an issue. And you know what? Sometimes it still is, even in today's world where we are literally super connected at all times. I'm also wondering about 13th place. Is that a superstition thing over there?
I think it's a way it's funny. It could be that. I think it's the way that the overlays display the information. So if my records are correct, that should be Zane Rodramel from Blackford. Zane couldn't be here today because he is part of his school's play, and it's their tech week, so he had to miss today's race. Yeah, super awesome, right? How could we be upset about that? But he wasn't in the race, so because of that, it doesn't show his standings because it's only from the broadcast. But it does leave a spot, so that way we know, hey, that's all about Zane.
All right, and I do believe we have Zach in here now as well, the current race winner of today. So I believe once we get them all situated, we have a great interview coming there as well. And I'm interested to pick the brain of Zach, especially with how the day started versus how it ended. So I think it should just be another moment here as well.
And not just our race leader for the day, but the racing leader in the championship standings overall by 5 points with 277 overall points. Zach and Robert really doing a great job there. And the ones and twos, they might as well become a DJ team out there. We could, I'm sure we can get them a residency here in Vegas.
story of the race, as those two were neck and neck for the entire race. I think Robert went all out, as you do, and luckily for him was able to finishes in second. 4.3 seconds back is not the whole story from today's race.
No, and we saw that there. It was, I think, somewhere around turn 11, turn 8. But, he realized, or maybe it was even the corkscrew, but he realized that he had to make a move at that point. And I love the fact that we saw Robert go for it because, he could have just cruised in second place, collected those points. But by taking a risk, he could have ended up in worse than second. I mean, we saw him get off of the track there, get squirrely, lose a lot of speed and momentum, was able to regain and get second. But I think, the fact that we get to see that grit, that determination, that willingness, that want, that drive to take that first place away from his friend and competitor in that junior of Zach, I think was a lot of fun to watch. And again, it speaks volumes for these students and how much they want to get out there and win and have fun.
Well, and I think that was the big question mark from us today as we're talking about these kids is, does Robert have the mental toughness to make it through a 20-minute race? And the answer is absolutely he does.
Yeah.
He didn't end up on the top step today, but it wasn't 4 seconds apart. He was maybe 0.4 seconds apart, right? And the fact that he went for it, didn't get it, and still maintains that second place, hats off to Robert. No driver ever wants a second place finish, but this one was probably a pretty good one for Robert. Oh, and we are close. I think we had it, and then we lost it. And then we'll see our race winner, Carmel Zach, in here. Hold on.
The trials and tribulations of esports broadcasting.
That's right.
Here we go. This is IRL, kids. This is what happens. That's why we need you behind the scenes to get on board with LandFest and keep them staffed because they do such an amazing job. And Drew, you do such an amazing job. Everybody behind the scenes works so very hard. We had problems with my camera, which we've never had before. And we were literally scrambling around last minute to get all the pieces in place. And you know what? We do it. They do it on a daily basis around here. So word up to LandFest. And by the way, Drew and your team, you guys just do an amazing job with everything over there at the IEN and especially with the iRacing. It's great to see.
It's a really cool group of guys. Esports is an interesting thing, right? Because I don't see these guys in person. And so for me to be able to digitally hang out with a bunch of guys from all over the state of Indiana, all different backgrounds, some are techies, some are not, some are just music teachers or math teachers or whatever they do. And I got nothing but great things to say about the Indiana Esports Network. Hey, I got nothing but great things to say about our next guest. I think Zach is in and line.
Let's go.
Zach, you are race 5 winner. How does it feel?
Good. We had some trials and tribulations getting there, but it ended up good.
It looks like we are not able to. It says you need to reconnect to the call.
The vMix call, I believe.
Yeah, vMix call.
If I have one, then I can
Interesting. All right. Well, we're working a little bit of a permissions thing. Well, I tell you what,
we could just be having an issue with vMix right now. That's just
that
we've
could
been
just be
a little
squirrely today.
That's okay, because Zach, you came out there, you got it done. Now, I know Hot Sauce has a very hot question for you. I was going to ask it just then, Hot Sauce, but it's your question. You go for it.
Well, I think my biggest thing was, what was going through the mind early because, Robert had qualified. He had a nice early lead there. And it just seemed like you were trying to find a way to get around them. What was kind of going through your mind up to those moments? And where was the moment that you saw you could finally get around them? Can you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, I was really kind of stuck in the middle with Drew behind me and Robert in front of me. So I was really just trying to make my way through. And then there was some weird stuff happening there. I don't quite remember all of it, but all I remember is I came out ahead and then Drew and Robert were behind me. So I figured let's go with it.
Let's go.
Now,
All right. Hey, we're stuck in a little bit of a loop here because I'm not sure we've got any of Zach's audio. We've got Zach's audio, but I don't think production has Zach's audio. Hey, Zach, is there any way you can jump into, because it's pulling his audio from the vMix call. but he can't hear us unless he's in Discord. So are you on your phone, Zach? Is that why it's doing this? Can you potentially try on like one of those on a computer and one of those on your phone? Yeah, let's see if we can get you. Dude, you had such a great race. I want to make sure everybody can hear about it.
Absolutely.
So let's put one device doing one and one device doing the other, and maybe that'll get us to go here.
I saw someone in the chat say they could hear Zach, but I don't.
Yeah, it was kind of an echo from somebody else's mic.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you doing the work here. For those of you that are out watching, we're doing our best to try and get Zach in here. You know, it's a little bit of an interesting thing. You wouldn't necessarily do this in other titles, but our kids and the people that we have go on this thing, just kind of some cool stuff. So we want to take an opportunity to celebrate some success.
I personally love the interviews as well. And I think something else to think about as we work on getting Zach back in here so that everybody can hear. But this was only race number 5 of 12. And so we talk about consistency all the time, but they still have, half of the season, a little more to work through. And so even though that, these top 2-3 positions are pretty, got a nice little gap. I mean, there's still a lot of work and things that can happen. I mean, one bad race can really change some big standings if you happen to be one of these cars that maybe get caught in one of these early crashes.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, we look at the differences. We look at the championship standings here on the stream. 5 points separates 1 and 2, and about 0.5 seconds separates those guys really on track. With that being said, some excellent work here.
Yeah, definitely. And 0.5 seconds, by the way, it might not seem like a lot, but in racing, it could be a lot, right? But these two going neck and neck, battling it out. I think you're going to be able to see that all season long. And Andrew, he's keeping it up there, man. He's got, I like what we saw out of him today. The stick-to-itiveness, being able to get back there and understand. I just got to keep with it. The consistency we talked about. Jamison Daniel as well, which was Mr. B's sleeper pick, doing their thing. It's going to be a very exciting season, especially with all these schools involved. I mean, 9 schools, that's just an incredible amount of racing going on and racers out there and working scholastically to hopefully, make their way into IRL racing. We've seen it before. We saw it last season. And you know what? There's tons of opportunities out there, like we keep talking about, in front of the camera, behind the camera, or in the racing pods as well.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to have time to get Zach back in here. If there's any shout outs you'd like to make, we could definitely make them for you if you want to toss it in there. But as we look to get some of those, I will just briefly give our last, but certainly not least, our final shout out of another wonderful, great sponsors here today, which is LandFest, guys. This broadcast, is part of LandFest's Scholastic Esports program. It's a program that supports this league and many others. And since launching, LandFest has delivered over 300 broadcasts to scholastic leagues in both Washington and Indiana State. And of course, we provide these broadcasts free of charge to the leagues, the schools, and the teams we cover. It's your generous donations that make all of this possible. And for every $200 we raise, it covers the entire operating cost for one whole regular season broadcast, So if you appreciate your work and you're able to donate, please scan that QR code on screen and donate today.
And Zach would like to give a big shout out to his family, teammates, and of course, Mr. Rhoda and Mr. Sharkey as well. Great job today, Zach, and great job by all of the racers and competitors today.
Yeah, I can see why. I mean, the students are very lucky to have someone like Drew. He's been doing this for a while now. It's always a pleasure to get to come back to work with Drew and to get to showcase and highlight all the wonderful talent that we have over here in Indiana esports. We are running a little bit behind, though, so that is going to be all for us as always. Guys, a big shout out to LOS Portal, Zotac Gaming, and LandFest. We appreciate Drew, Mr. B, everybody behind the scenes, Connie and Taylor, for all of their hard work as well. All of the competitors, the teachers, the students, and the friends that showed up in chat. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you hit that follow button down below so you don't miss out on any of the action. My name is Hot Sauce. That handsome man to my digital right is Logan Summit. You guys have been beautiful. Please enjoy the rest of your evening.